Many centuries ago, about 1360, Hoensbroek used to be Brabant territory. At the time, the little village was called Hoensbroek and was part of the parish of Heerlen. The well-to-do Hoen family gave military and financial support to the Counts of Brabant. In exchange for this, in 1388, Sir Herman Hoen I was granted authority over the village of Hoensbroek. At the same time, Hoensbroek was separated from Heerlen and granted a form of independence in its own right, present-day Hoensbroek. One of the rights that were conferred to the rich Hoen family was the so-called patronage right. As a result, they became the owners of the village chapel, St. Janskerk. The ownership of a choir's stall and a family vault at the chancel of the church, among other things, is proof of the prominence of the Lord Patron. The monumental St. John's Church adjoins the marketplace, right in the middle of the centre of Hoensbroek, at a distance of about 800 metres from here. This church cannot be dated exactly. The most ancient real piece of evidence of its existence is the so-called Charter of Foundation compiled 600-odd years ago. It states that the church was subordinate to the parish of Heerlen up to 1390. From the 18th of June, 1390, the old St. John's Church itself has had many parochial rites, including the sacrament of the Eucharist, extreme unction, and the funeral rite, but continued to be subordinate to Heerlen. The history of its construction. The building of the church is part of the line of developments which was of paramount importance to Hoensbroek in the 14th century. First of all, the expansion of power of the well-to-do Hoen family, and the construction of the castle in 1360 as an integral part of it. Secondly, the promotion of Hoensbroek to an independent village in 1388. And thirdly, the loosening of its ties with the parish of Heerlen in 1390. The church was built in various stages, and they are still to be distinguished by their stylistic traits. A distinctive feature of the first architectural stage is the tower. The tower is severe and robust, and at first was not accessible from outside. The entrance to the church tower was fitted in its place only at a later date, just like the round arch that leads into the nave. The tower, the nave, and the choir were built in pretty quick succession, so that there are no joints to be seen. The chancel was vaulted and provided with pointed arch windows. In spite of the fact that the church shows little Gothic traits, such as its profiles, the small clerestory windows, and the application of Gothic arches to the windows, there are still quite a few devices reminiscent of the Romanesque building style. Like the tower, with its round arched windows and louver boards, the close atmosphere of the nave, the entrances to the north and south fronts of the nave, and the right-angled choir. In the land of the Meuse, the Gothic style has never managed to disengage itself from the pre-Romanesque style of architecture. Accordingly, the old church exemplifies the conservatism of the land of the Meuse. About 1500, St. John's Church is drastically rebuilt. The nave is covered over with stone-ribbed cross vaults. The vaulting caused the little clerestory windows to end up above the arch. This prevented daylight from entering. For this reason, the aisles were raised, so that, together with the nave, they came to be covered up by one gable roof. Now large windows could be installed in the raised aisles. Besides the new roof of the nave, the tower was given a new finishing touch, the present spire. During the Renaissance period, the 17th century, a brick and marl extension is added to the choir. In those days, the ornamental parts of a building would be constructed with different kinds of building stones, like marl and freestone. This principle was applied to the Renaissance section of Hoensbroek Castle too. In 1725, a sacristy was built against the church. Its date is still preserved on the lintel above the door. When in 1909 the old roof was renewed, the small clerestory windows were rediscovered. These little windows were rendered visible again by replacing the roof by one gable roof and two little single pitch roofs, and the entrance to the south aisle was blocked up. Ever since that time, the church has only been accessible by way of the tower and the sacristy. The paintings. During the 1909 renovation, a fresco was uncovered from underneath a layer of plasterwork on the triumphal arch. The triumphal arch dates from about 1400, but the picture was painted some decades later. The church had to dry out first, before the painting could be applied to the wall. It represents Judgment Day. Apart from on the triumphal arch, pictures were also painted on the vaults during the 16th century. The church has 3 vault panels, and each panel is divided into 4 parts by cross ribs. In one of the parts, a coat of arms can still be easily recognized. The coat of arms of the Hoen family. A white field with 4 red crossbars, ornamented with a black climbing lion. Unfortunately, the lion cannot be discerned anymore. The interior. The most precious work of art the church preserves is the corpus. The statue dates back to the end of the 15th century. It was completely renovated in 1964 and has been accorded a place of honor on the choir. Another beautiful sight of the church are the 13 leaded light windows in the chancel, the nave and the tower of the church. The panes were fixed in the existing window frames as late as 1957. Each magnificent multicolored window provides its own link with Hoensbroek, or the province of Limburg, like, for instance, St. John, the Gospel writer. At his feet stands an eagle, holding the Hoensbroek escutcheon. At St. John's Church there are 5 tombstones as well. As far back as the early Middle Ages, the dead would be buried at the church. At the chancel, the most distinguished people, the local clergy and patron lords, were buried. In the nave, the aisles and in the churchyard, the less well-to-do were buried. In the tower, there are 2 church bells. The older one dates back to 1414, and the newer one dates from 1840. The bronze church bell from 1414 was cast at the church by the bell founder Peter van Trier, for it was very risky in those days to transport such a heavy object from Aachen to Hoensbroek. The bell has been moulded in Gothic style, and its mouth is 99 centimeters. The bell from 1840 was cast at Tongres. Its mouth is 87 centimeters and is decorated with pictures of the Crucifixion and the Holy Mary. As Hoensbroek had expanded and the church was getting too small, in 1906 the large church of St. John was put to use. The small church has served as a chapel of ease of the larger St. John's Church ever since. At present, the small St. John's Church is being used quite a lot for marriage and baptismal ceremonies. Evening Mass is celebrated daily as well. For those who want to see more, a visit to the church is a must. It's very much worth your while.